So now let's talk about how to have a good mental health conversation with someone. And there are two ways of looking at this. First of all, it could be that someone approaches you when you are so busy that you have no headspace to give them at all. So the most important thing, first of all, is if somebody does start the conversation, be honest and say, do you know what, I really don't have time to talk now. Can we put some time in the diary? I really do want to help you, as opposed to just not really being there at all and being irritated by them because I'll pick it up. So that's the first thing. But let's assume now that someone's approached you, you've got plenty of time, and you're also in the right headspace yourself. In mental health, we talk about you can never pour from an empty cup. So this goes back to the fact if you're so stressed, reschedule. But if you are in a good place and you are ready to talk, let's break this down into how to have a really good conversation here. So go somewhere quiet. Let's think about the approach first of all. Go somewhere quiet, somewhere that you won't be disturbed. Turn your phone off or put it onto silent. Sometimes it's really good to go for a walk, actually, because it's easier for people to communicate sometimes when you're actually not looking directly at them. Certainly when you're having a virtual type of conversation, it gets harder than ever because of course you're just staring directly at the camera. But ideally, if you can walk and talk, happy days. So finding somewhere quiet where you won't be disturbed, ideally away from the office or away from other people. The next thing you want to do is think about whether or not what they're telling you is really, really serious. When we think about mental health, we assess for the most important things, which are what we call mental health crises. And the most important mental health crises are obviously suicidal crises. When you're listening to someone, I always say that you listen with your ears, yes, of course, but you listen with your eyes and you're watching them and you're getting information about them from there, but you're also listening with your gut. This is a really, really important thing to do. If you're listening with your gut, what will happen is the fact if it sends off alarm bells to you. There are sometimes phrases that people might come out with, like, I can't go on, what's the point? This is never going to end. I just don't know what to do. They'd be better off without me. Sometimes there'll be alarm bell sounds that go and you need to sit there and think, this looks too scary for me. This person may be thinking about suicide. Go to HR immediately if that's the case, because it's too much training to do in one go as to how you go directly, but do listen to your gut. But assuming that you think that they're just in a bad place and you'll be able to help them and really be able to let them walk away from the conversation with you feeling better, let's think about how the best form of communication should be. And so there are ways to listen. What we always talk in mental health is listen without judgment. If you want to help someone in mental distress, the only thing you need to be able to do is to be able to be kind, be calm, and be caring. Those are the three most important things that you can do. Being kind means you're not judging. And if you're judging, what will very often happen is you'll come out with bad statements, or you will alternatively give something away in your face. My sister has a rogue eyebrow. I can't do it. But if anyone out there that's listening to this has a rogue eyebrow, just keep it under control, because the minute you raise it, it'll be quite obvious that you're not listening, or you're not agreeing, or you're questioning what someone's saying. So listening without judgment and being kind is all about just having a safe sounding board for someone to just let loose in terms of how they're feeling. The don'ts are: don't judge, as I've said already. Don't offer solutions. Very often people don't have solutions to their problems. If they've been bereaved, for example, or if they are missing someone, or there are lots of things, there are no solutions to be had. So just being there to let them cry, let it out, that's the most useful thing that you can do. You're not there to diagnose either. You have no idea if they're suffering from depression or from anxiety or from something else. It's not for you to diagnose what their problem is. But it is for you to be kind and listen and have this nice, safe sounding board for them to turn to. And the other thing to do is support them. So ideally, what you want to do when you're helping someone in mental distress is to enable them to go and get some further help, because very often that's what's required. In a lot of cases, that help will be professional help, and getting someone to the GP immediately to get into the system so they can start either being given some forms of pharmaceutical medications, which are excellent nowadays and really, really help, or to get into some sort of local counselling type facilities. but the professional help is good, but also to support them in terms of other places that they could go for help. Google is your friend at this point, because very often when people are in a lot of distress for reasons, it could be they need peer support, because it's very difficult to understand what someone's going through if you haven't been through it yourself. I can give the example of one of my closest friends who is around my age, was bereaved very, very quickly. She lost her partner. And much as I can sympathize with her, I couldn't possibly empathize. I had no idea what she was going through. But together we looked at Google. We found local support group of a company, of an organization rather, called Ways, which is Widowed and Young. And she got in contact with them, and then she had a whole peer support group around. So in terms of helping someone with their mental support, as I said, Google is your friend, and see if you can find local services or local groups that might be able to support this person as well. And ultimately, those are the steps that you want to take in order to support someone in mental distress. Get your approach right, assess for anything dangerous. And then when you're talking to them, be supportive, don't give answers, don't judge, just listen and help them find the next steps, which are either going to be professional help or other forms of help. That's how you support someone in mental distress.